Okay, so let's talk about designing and shaping your characters in Daz 3D. To start with, I've just got our Genesis 8 basic male model, which comes free with Daz Studio, and you can find that right here. But now that I've bought a few other characters from the store, let's see how we can switch characters. If we go back here to Products in our Smart Content library, you can see I've got quite a few new characters installed now. But let's switch our basic male model with another Genesis 8 male character. So to filter what we see here, let's switch on Filter by Context, which is going to show us everything related to the Genesis 8 male character we've currently got selected. So we'll enable that and scroll to the top. And here's our base model again, but also the other Genesis 8 male models we currently have available, like Josh and Lucas, and some more creative characters like Mervyn the Alien, this cartoon Genesis 8 character, and our Wolfman. So if, for example, we'd like to swap our basic male character for Lucas while keeping the current pose, clothing, and other settings we may have already applied to our basic model, we just need to select that and double click on our new character. And we'll get a pop-up asking if we want to switch characters or if we want to add Lucas into our scene separately. So we'll select this option to switch this guy out for our new model. And we've now switched characters, and the pose and clothing has also adapted to our new figure. And just before we move on, I think this 16:9 window is a little bit distracting. So let's remove that so we have a bit more space in here. If we go to Render Settings and All, we can choose a different dimension preset. So we'll switch this from Custom to Active Viewport. And now we can take advantage of this full space here in our viewport. So now that we know how to add our characters to the scene and replace one character for another, let's see if we can customize one of these pre-made figures and see if we can make them more unique. If we pop open the shaping panel here and remove any filters by selecting All, and this is content sensitive as well, so we need to make sure we have our character selected. And we can now find all the shaping options listed down here that are available to this particular character. So this one here is for the height, and we can adjust that to make our character shorter or taller. Or we could make him a bit more stocky, or thin him out a bit with the emaciated control here. And if we go over to the actor filter here, we can get a preview of how some of these shaping presets will affect our character. And some of these morphs, as they're called, have actually come from some of the other characters we've purchased in our library. So let's give one of these a try. Let's try fattening him up with the heavy body morph. And if we take a look at the top here, we can find some of the other morphs associated with the other figures we've got installed. And here's the Josh morph from the Josh character over here. And there's also a Lucas morph over here as well. So we can start to blend in different characters and mix and match these to create something unique. And what's really fun, if we just reduce this one again, is that we can look down here for the more extreme character morphs. And here's our alien and werewolf morphs. So let's try blending those in. And now we've gone from Lucas to Marvin the Alien. Or we can back that off and bring in the Wolfman. Or to make something more unique, we can set this one to 50% and blend it with 50% werewolf to create our own original character. And to refine this even more, we're not limited to just blending full body morphs. If we were to grab just the nose, for example, we can shape just that part of the model. So let's try the nose bridge depth, which doesn't do too much. What about the width? Also a bit subtle. Let's zoom in a tad, and we'll try the nose height, which is interesting. And there's loads of these we can try to really customize the look of our character. Let's see what we can do with the ears. And we can morph these into a more elf-like shape, or make them longer, and you can really go crazy with this. And if you do ever find that you've gone too far, we can always reset the shaping by replacing the model with our original character again by double-clicking this, and just applying that to the selected character again. And now we're back to Lucas again. So every time you install a new character figure, you will end up with even more morphs to choose from over here, so the possibilities are pretty endless. The cartoon morphs are always pretty fun as well. If we apply this, we can get some cool manga kind of looks. So that's the shaping tools. Another tool we can use for shaping the face of our characters is the Power Pose tool. And you can find that up here under Window, Panes, and here it is. And we'll just dock our Power Pose window over here. And this tool is mainly used for posing your models, and we'll take a look at doing that as well a little bit later on. But if we click into the face up here, we get access to the facial posing tools, but we can also go further into this face icon here, which will actually allow us to manipulate the shape of the face as well. And basically, if we click on any of these points, like the ear for example, and drag while holding the left mouse button down, we can move and reshape that particular part of the character. And if we right click instead and move our mouse around, we can rotate that selection as well. And if you find the controls for that a little bit fiddly, we can also switch to the universal tool, which gives you gizmo controls like you might find in Cinema 4D, which will allow you to move, scale, and rotate parts of the mesh. So you can get some pretty unique looks as well. Let's try manipulating the eyebrows as well. And just move these up a bit to give him a bit of a smug look. Or maybe we could grab the nose and bring this out this way to increase the size a bit. And why stop there? Let's grab his chin and do a little surgery down here as well. And now he's definitely starting to look pretty unique. So that's shaping with the Power Pose tool. We can also shape our characters with deformers, just like we can in Cinema 4D. So with this character selected, and we're using Josh this time, we'll come up here to create and create a new deformer. And you can name it if you like, but we'll just go with the default name. And if we pop our character hierarchy open here, we can find that deformer in here now, which gives us a representation of what part of our character is going to be affected by the deformer, which is currently the whole model. But if we grab the controller here, we can scale this down so that it's only affecting the middle section of our character. And we can move this up as well. And I want to isolate it to just the belly so we can deform the shape of that and give him a bit of a beer gut. So we'll scale that in on the sides as well. And we don't want that to select the back as well, so we'll also scale that in this way. And just move that till it's only affecting his belly. Okay. And now if we click on the deformer base and pop that open, we can now grab this, which will let us start deforming the surface. And if we move this outward, that'll start bulging that belly out like so. And we could lift that up a bit as well. And you'll notice the pivot point for the deformation is actually down here at the moment. But if we want to center that up here, we just need to grab the deformer base again and just shift that pivot point to where we want it. And if we switch back to this, that deformation will be from that point. And at this point, I want to affect more of the sides. So we'll go back to our selector here and scale that out to the sides a bit more, which rounds that belly out a bit. And we might do that up this way as well, giving him a bit of a pot belly. Or we could come back to the deformation and bulge this out to the sides a bit more. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. And if you wanted to give your other characters the same belly morph, we can actually save this as a shaping preset, just like the body morphs we looked at earlier. So to do that, we'll need access to the deform menu, which we can also find up here under Panes. So this one here, and we'll dock that over to the side. And to save the deformation that we've done here as a morph preset, we just need to select the root of our character rather than the deformation itself. And over here, we'll check on apply spawned morph. And to remove the deformer after this, we can also activate delete applied deformers. Then we just need to hit spawn morph. And we need to give our new morph a name. Let's just call it belly morph. And we'll hit yes to this. And when that's done, you can see our deformer has now been removed from our stack. And if we take a look under the parameters tab, under our Josh character, and under morphs, we can now find our new belly morph. And we can use this slider to increase that effect or decrease it. But we don't really want it to go beyond that original flat belly shape because that looks a little bit weird. So we can hold Alt and click on the value here to reset it to 0, which removes that deformation completely. And if we click on the little settings icon here and under parameter settings, we can set a limit on this slider. So it won't allow negative values. So we'll enable that and we'll change the min value here, which is currently allowing values as low as negative 100%. We'll just set that minimum value to 0 instead, which is flat like this. And we'll accept that. And now you can see our morph starts back here at 0, and we can only increase that effect to 100% or remove that morph entirely. So our preset has now been applied to our Josh character, but we need to do one more step if we want to be able to use this on our other Genesis 8 characters. So again, we'll make sure we've got our character selected so we can export any custom morphs we've got set up in here. Then we need to go to File, Save As, and right down the bottom here from the Support Asset menu, we'll select the Morph Assets. And we can set a directory for our morph, which is already set to our Daz library. So let's leave that there. And if we look down here under the Josh character, we can access the custom morphs. And we'll just select our belly morph. And we've got the option again to name it whatever we like. So we'll call it belly morph again and hit accept. And now if we go back to our Smart Content tab, we'll bring in a different character to apply this to. Let's go with Marvin the Alien. And if we want to add another character to our scene and keep Josh in there as well, we'll just double click into here. Then holding Alt on the keyboard, we can click and drag Marvin into our scene. And we can actually place him wherever we want. So about there looks good. And this time we'll choose Load a New Figure into the scene. And now if we grab our Marvin character and take a look at the morphs available, we can now access our saved belly morph. So now we can apply this to him as well. And now he's also got a nice big beer belly. And we'll hit Control F to frame him up. And we can blend this in with any other morphs we like to further customize our characters. One final thing before we finish up though, if we take a look at Josh again, you can see that that deformation has popped that belly through his shorts like this. But we can actually use our shaping tools on clothing as well to fix this. So if we grab his boxer shorts here and head back over to the shaping tab, under all, we can also find a bunch of morphs to adjust our shorts. And we can actually apply shaping to pretty much any kind of asset in Daz, and not just our character meshes. So let's give it a try. If we tweak these sliders a bit, we can expand those shorts out to make them fit around his belly a bit more. And that's just about there already. Let's just widen the sides a bit as well. And we can also come back to our character again and reduce the belly morph a bit till those shorts are fitting nicely again, like so. And we'll look at some other ways to adjust the clothing a little bit later on as well. But that's pretty much it for designing and shaping in Daz Studio.